up, team? It is MurderInc back with a D4 video. Today we're going to be taking a little bit of a different pace here and saying these are the builds you probably should play if you're going to play for an extended time in Season 2 of Diablo 4. And of course, for this, we are talking about Barbarian. How am I going to make my suggestion? Very good question. Not that you asked it. I'm going to assume you're asking that. So I'm someone that's played every single build for the Barbarian this season. Finally got through to that. Didn't release a guide on every single one so far, but I did try everything just to say that I did prior to uploading this video here. So the question is, how can I come up with a list of builds you should try for Season 2? I'm kind of going to stick to the outlier builds that are really enabled hardcore with this, not the difficulty hardcore, just to clarify that are enabled with this Season 2 mechanic, which aren't many, which I do like. I don't think builds should really be hard stuck around mechanics, because then the eternal player base, which there is surprisingly a decently large eternal player base, just straight up won't have a good time. And you want there to be a solid core build for every class, no matter what, just so the new season mechanics add to it and maybe change things up a bit to make it good. So with that, now you know how I did pick this list here. So the first one I'm going to say is going to be Upheaval. Upheaval is very strong because Furious Upheaval procs from the season mechanic, and we may not see this again. It depends what it's like, but Hemomancy here has a really short cooldown. This can occur every 4 seconds. So every 4 seconds, it's shooting out this AoE and hitting everything for 80% of your health as physical damage. And for each target it hits, it's actually going to be stacking onto this passive here that I just hovered. Where are we? Furious Upheaval. So every 4 seconds, you're getting max stacks without having to do anything, making your upheavals hit crazy, crazy hard. Now, of course, you can do this with a second core skill. There are builds that use 2 core skills. You can do this with Ground Stop, 15-second cooldown. You can also do this with Leap, possibly no cooldown if you have the ring. Charge, 15-second cooldown, can be lowered. Steel Grasp has charges, probably the easiest thing to use. Rupture, I don't know if I'd use that. Death Blow, of course. And then things like Iron Maelstrom and Call of the Ancients minions, I believe. Could be wrong on this, you can fact check me for sure, but I do believe Call of the Ancients attacks also stack up with Furious Upheaval. But the fact that Hemomancy Vampiric Power is so strong, this is probably a build you want to try, because despite it being buffed, I'm not sure if it's going to be as strong in the following seasons, even with its base damage buff, because you won't have access to a max stack Furious Upheaval every 4 seconds for free. So that's going to be the first build. I do have a build guide for this called the Devil's Upheaval build. You can check that out if you want, or find another one. The second build is Hammer the Ancients. Now, the season mechanic makes this strong, but even if you remove everything from Season 2, Hammer the Ancient is the new best Barbarian build in the game. And since it is new, as far as being the best, because it's never been the best before, I would say this is worth trying this season. It's so much fun. It's the most fun I've had. Second place to Whirlwind. When D4 first came out, preseason, Season 1 Whirlwind was a lot of fun for me. I'm a Whirlwind guy. You guys know that if you watch the channel. And there are a lot of Whirlwind players. It's such a staple in the Diablo franchise. But that aside, Hammer the Ancients, you definitely want to play it this season, because if anything gets nerfed, it's going to be Hammer the Ancients. I can guarantee that they're not going to try, and I mean, maybe they'll try to nerf Overpower. I'm really not sure what they're going to do. Barbarian's crazy busted, and it's way ahead of every other class. People can cope as much as they want saying that the Ball Lightning Sork is just as good. You can't one-shot bosses, and you cannot clear trash as fast as a Barbarian. Plain and simple. You can try, but you're not going to be able to do it. So that is why I recommend Hammer the Ancients. The next build, surprisingly, is going to be Whirlwind. Now, I don't think everyone should try Whirlwind out, but if you get your hands on a Shaco or a Grandfather, you're going to have so much fun with Whirlwind. And I mean, I'm saying this as if you're not a die-hard Whirlwind player, because those players are already playing Whirlwind or they've already moved on to it, it's probably worth picking up, because for one, a build surface for Whirlwind that kind of enabled what the playstyle should be like. The issue is the base damage of Whirlwind is still a bit too low in the game. They really need to increase this. Why they haven't yet, I'm not sure. This is kind of a bad thing the devs are overlooking. Very bad. But they did add something that I kind of suggested in a video, I believe last season or maybe preseason, Whirlwind needed single target damage. Now channeling skills cannot proc overpower. We are in a overpower meta. This is very strong because now you can Whirlwind and Death Blow, which means there's no chance with a Whirlwind build you can proc overpower unless you hit Death Blow, and you bet when you hit that Death Blow, it's going to one-shot anything in the game, from literally bosses to elites. Anything you can think of, you can one-shot with Death Blow in this build. So having access to this new Death Blow overpower mechanic with Whirlwind really solidifies Whirlwind as a core skill for a build and makes it feel really, really good. Now I'm actually going to skip Rend and Double Swing. The reason why I'm skipping Double Swing is because Double Swing has been the best Barbarian build in preseason and season 1 up until now, where Hoda overtook it. If you did not know that, it's because I don't think a single content creator besides myself has ranked Double Swing as the highest, despite it being the first to clear Nightmare 100s for preseason and 2 season, and the first to be killing the Uber Lilith, which was the only real boss in the game for Barbarian. So this skill has always hit stupid hard. It's always been pretty cool of a playstyle. I played this to death in preseason and season 1, and it's really fun, but it kind of burnt me out a little bit coming to season 2 here, and I really hadn't played too much with Hammer the Ancients. I had so much fun last season with Upheaval. It was finally viable for pretty much the first time because of the, I forget what it called, the big burst that we had, the Barber heart, right? So Upheaval was actually viable with the Barber, and now it's viable without it, which is the good news. But the Barber also helped out Double Swing, increasing its AoE clear, just making it a powerhouse of a build. We don't quite have that this season, which is why it was overtaken by Hammer the Ancients, but nothing really changed to the playstyle of Double Swing. Now, there are a few, like, I hate calling them meme builds, but they're kind of meme builds where you can use Double Swing with the new Twister Glyph. You can also use the Twister Glyph with Upheaval, Hammer the Ancients, Whirlwind. It's not really unique to Double Swing, besides having a specific aspect tied to Double Swing that can send out twisters. Whirlwind has one as well. I believe only these 2 skills have it. So if you want to play a twister build, you can just play Whirlwind. But I do think if you build a straight non-twister full DPS Double Swing build, that would probably be the best Double Swing build for season 2. Maybe I'll get around to it a little bit later in the season, but it's not my main priority since I'm actually currently playing Double Swing right now, as we can see in my bars. Basic skill, Double Swing, Death Blow, all of that good stuff. 2 Shouts and Wrath of the Berserker. You don't really need Wrath, but I was just playing around with a few things here. But that is pretty much why I don't think Double Swing is a necessary build that you have to play if you're playing Barb for the first time, or if you're a repeat Barbarian enjoyer. The next one's going to be Rend. Rend's hard for me to recommend in the end game for pretty much any season because it's so powerful at leveling. And usually, when you're playing a game like this, you do want some diversity. Now, the Rend endgame is definitely a much different feel from the leveling process for sure. So there is some difference there, but Rend and even now Upheaval has been a pretty good contender, although I would say Upheaval is good for level like 1 to 20. And then if Hoda wasn't as overpowered as it was, Rend would just be the go-to all the way to 60. But now once you start getting to 40, or pretty much whenever you get the weapon aspect for Hammer the Ancients that makes it AoE, if you can get that, Hammer the Ancients is the go-to from like level 30 to 101, signifying it's the complete endgame build. So that's kind of why I don't think you have to play Rend this season. Now, the next build that I associate with Iron Skin is going to be Thorns. Thorns is unique. I would say Thorns is better now than it will ever be because of Death Blow, since again, nothing really procs Death Blow on a Thorns kit. Depending on how you play, if you're playing Thorns that has a basic attack spamming ability, that's going to take all of your overpower procs. Or if you're using brawling skills, that's also going to take all of your overpower procs. So Thorns either gets much better, or it stays the exact same since you're just burning through all the overpower procs. Nothing too crazy which changed for Thorns this season. If you want to try it, you can. I know there are going to be some people that are going to bring up one of these abilities here. So Thorns has a 10% chance to deal 300% multiplicative increased damage and chill enemies for 8%. If this were 90%, this would be huge, but this is a 10% chance. And yes, Thorns can proc pretty often, but 10% is way too low. I do not like how they had 10% here. It should have been a minimum of 50, especially for a Netflix and chill AFK build. 10% just makes things, you're going to have to watch your screen more than if you didn't have that, because you're probably going to be building around that proc just a little bit for Thorns. So overall, I would say you don't have to play it this season. Nothing crazy about the gameplay changed too much. Now we're kind of getting short on builds at this point. We have the original 5 plus Thorns, which is 6. Then there's a brawling only skill build. Now this is not new to season 2, and I don't believe personally that it would been too enhanced for season 2. There's an argument to be made that stacking all of these overpower procs can be fine, since theoretically you can make kick hit like a truck, charge kind of can hit like a truck, not really, and leap can definitely hit very hard. The issue with leap is leap requires you to be spending fury on a core skill, which makes this hard for obvious reasons. If 3 of your skills are going to be brawling skills, you could go with 2, but then it's kind of cheating to call it a brawling build. But so if we have 3 baseline brawling skills, we have to decide, are we going to pick shouts? If we pick shouts, that's 3 and 3, 6 bars completely gone. Or if you want to be 2 shouts, which 2 shout builds are kind of the meta right now with how things are playing out, then you decide, do I need a basic skill? Do I need a core skill? And it's also very annoying, kind of bad game design, how if you want to play a brawling build, you need to get enough points to get there, which I don't like at all. I think if you want to play a non-core skill build, you shouldn't be locked to only pressure point and endless fury to try and get your points high enough to get to the next bracket. Also wasting points into the basic skill. What if you don't want to play either, right? So I really don't like how they're locking us behind having to go through these sections. I kind of get why they did it, but they probably didn't anticipate brawling builds being a thing. Now, they're not that common, so if you hadn't heard of it and you're like, huh, what he's talking about? I mean, it's a really niche thing. I think I can name like 3 people that's ever attempted to make one, and they're pretty fun for sure. Maybe I'll cover it eventually in the season, but they basically take all the brawling aspects people insert into their builds, like Leapquake, right? Leapquake's very strong in many builds, but it usually complements a core skill build. You can make Leapquake, wouldn't make it the main damage, but you can add it to a brawl or like a one-shot kick build, which is actually pretty fun, and overall it's a really good build. Weapon mastery builds, I wouldn't do it. I've considered making a death blow only build. The issue is I don't have overkill. I have not gotten a single overkill two-hander to drop. What does that do? It makes your death blow AoE. Is that strong? 100%. However, you're still going to need a core skill, so what I was going to do, which is kind of like a forgotten art here, is use Hammer the Ancients as a generator. Yes, you heard that right. I was a generator. By only taking Enhanced Hammer the Ancients, gain 3x more fury for 5 seconds for each enemy damaged by Hammer the Ancients, stacking up to 10 times. So basically, you use this in an AoE pack. You get this fury gen, then you generate fury however you would based on the kit, whether it's a leap or something like that. And then you save your overpowers, if you're watching, of course, for Death Blow. And you can add in the weapon swap Earth Striker aspect for even harder hitting Death Blow procs in an AoE format, which could be pretty fun. But honestly, as I was building the build planner, it got a bit complex since Overpower has to kill a target, which it always will kill a target, but you really want to overpower with Death Blow, and having Hammer the Ancients, possibly a basic attack, and possibly a brawling skill, it makes it rather hard to keep track of your procs. So because of that, I did not make a Death Blow only build. Bossing builds are not a thing in this game. It's kind of, I mean, you can technically make a bossing build, but you would have to be the most disciplined person in the world to farm like 500 boss kills, then swap to a boss killing build to make it worth it, and then just do all 500 bosses in a row. I wouldn't be able to do that. I would want to be doing Hell Tides in between, Tree of Whispers, probably not Legion events, but World Boss kind of applies to one-shot builds, but Nightmare Dungeons, for sure I'd want to do that. And if you do have a one-shot Death Blow only build, you're not doing any of that side content, or at least you're not having a good time while you're doing it. So I don't think you have to play a Death Blow only build. Rupture, same thing, hate the skill. Steel Grasp is a support skill. Okay, the next thing is going to be a hot topic here. I don't understand why I'm seeing what I'm seeing, but for some reason, Walking Arsenal builds are a thing. I don't know why. because unconstrained is, like, no matter how you look at it, unconstrained is better. But for some reason, walking arsenal builds are a thing. Do I recommend playing it season 2? No. Do I recommend playing it in season anything? No. I think they need to rework this keystone with the new changes to berserking. Unconstrained is too strong, and then Unbridled Rage is even stronger than Unconstrained, so why you wouldn't just play that over Walking Arsenal means you're just doing less damage for no reason. So yeah, this is a very outdated system with the new changes they've made to berserking, because before it was either Unbridled or Walking Arsenal with like the main two. Now it's Unbridled or Unconstrained, and Walking Arsenal is just, I don't know. If anyone's ever made a guide with Walking Arsenal, they just don't understand how Barbarian works at all. I'm just going to say that kind of straightforward. So Walking Arsenal, again, needs a heavy rework. No one should ever be playing this for any reason. Yes, there's Fury gen, but you don't need Fury in this game. If you do, it's like a skill issue because there are so many aspects, other skills that just give you 100% Fury all the time. And when you take something that does more damage than Walking Arsenal, being unconstrained, you're not getting taxed the 100% X more Fury cost, so you're pretty much just spamming all of your skills anyways. So that is going to break down all of the builds you should attempt to play in Season 2, because it may or may not be the same after Season 2. Everything else you can kind of push aside and say, maybe I want to play Sork this season. Maybe I want to play Druid. Yeah, right. Who wants to play Druid? Rogue is a good one to play for sure. And of course, Necromancer. And the Blood build isn't performing as well as people expected, but it's still pretty fun from what I've seen so far. So that's going to conclude this video. Again, if you want to check out any of the guides that I've made, head over to my YouTube channel. I have a list of guides on there for Season 2 that you can check out. And as always, if you enjoyed this content, smash the like button, subscribe with the notification bell, and I will see you all in the next upload.